Happy Tuesday! Must mean it's time for a new technique. Today's technique that we're going to be doing is called the kissing technique. And for those of you that have been stamping a while, like I have, you've probably used this technique before, but I was just reminded of it when we were at convention in July and remembered what a great technique it is to use. So the stamp set I'm going to be using is Your Presents, which happens to be the one that I'm giving away in September for everybody that put in a $25 order or better up until this point. They've all got their names in the hat and we're going to draw one. The reason this is good for the kissing technique is because it's got four solid stamps, and then it's got a pattern stamp as well. In August, we actually used this card as one of the cards that you could make, and this present both use the kissing technique that I'm going to demonstrate. This Christmas card also uses it for the package that you can see here. So just either take your card front or an extra piece of white cardstock, and you're going to take your solid stamp. This time I'm using the square, and I'm using Watermelon Wonder ink, and I'm going to ink up the striped stamp. Okay. And then I'm just going to stamp straight down onto the square. Can you see the stripes in there? I'll ink up my stamp again, and this time I'm going to stamp the stripes again, but going the opposite way. And that gives me the crisscross design, which then I can stamp directly onto my paper, and that gives me the great little present that you could use. Now sometimes you may want to just do the kissing technique once instead of twice, and so to demonstrate that, I'm just going to use another one of the presents. And if I'm just going to stamp once, then I may want to put a background color on this stamp so that I don't have any white areas around the edge. So I'm going to stamp with pistachio pudding first, just to give me a little bit of all over color on this stamp. And then because I don't want the color to be too dark, I'm going to stamp off once to take most of the color off of this stamp. Then I'm going to ink up my Christmas trees that are here in the pattern with Cucumber Crush. Love some of these new colors. Whoops. I'll ink those trees up. Okay, they're nice and inked. And I'll stamp directly down onto that stamp. You can see the little trees in there. And then I can stamp it onto my card front or onto this white piece of paper. And it makes it kind of look like wrapping paper, which I think is really cool. Now this, of course, isn't the only stamp set you could use. Any stamp set that has a solid stamp, such as Celebrate Today with the balloons. If I take that balloon out of the set, you can see it's stained because I've been using it a lot. I'm going to ink it up with Pool Party. That gives me kind of a nice light colored background on my stamp. Now I could choose to stamp off once if I want to. Don't have to if you don't want to. So since I stamped off last time, I'm not going to this time. And then I'm going to use my Bermuda Bay. And this stamp set, Oh Hello, that has this cool little zigzaggy design, I'm going to stamp that onto my balloon. So put that on the block. Ink it up, make sure I've got ink everywhere. Stamp it directly onto the stamp. There you go. Then I can take this and stamp it directly onto my card front or my extra paper here. And you can see that gives me a really cool balloon with a design. Now, let's say you don't have a solid stamp. There is another way you can actually get this same effect. If I wanted to get the present, like I have here, the little square one, I can actually just take a square of white paper and punch it out. Then I could take my Watermelon Wonder again, and I could just stamp it onto the square, turn it, and stamp it again. And as you see, I can get the same effect. Whoops. Now I've just smeared it, I believe. But you can see the idea is the same. Same thing if I wanted to use maybe this cute little stocking that we have the punch for. Okay, I could take some of these zigzags again, getting my hands off of inky, and that gives me a cute little stocking with the same effect. So whether you use the solid stamp to do it or you just punch out a shape and do it yourself, I think you can see that this is a great technique to use. So thanks for tuning in. See you next time.